Now, once he got on, did he ever reach back to you?
Yeah, Jay had me come and do Summer Jam with him one year. I think that was the time when he had.
Jay did a record going at Pac, but right as it was about to come out, son died.
Wow.
We performed it though.
Yeah.
Where'd you perform it?
Performed it once, and you have to understand, like, the chip on Jay's shoulder is so crazy that it's just like he had to perform it. We was at the Apollo.
Wow.
He was at the Apollo and he performed it, and it was scathing.
As far as like, Big and Pac and like just pushing forward, that's just me being a student of the game and loving the game and loving the culture and just wanting to push the culture forward. And for me, that was the challenge that I was faced with. And that's a void. That's a big void.
Yo, I want to say, bro, you filled them shoes though. You came in and you know what I'm saying. So we definitely give thanks for you. You know what I'm saying? Because you definitely came in and I just know how much Big like really looked up to Jay. You know what I'm saying? Like they looked up to each other. You know what I'm saying? They looked up to each other. And yeah, that is crazy to have to step into the shoes of like two people. Because that's all it was, really, was those two people. Hove was coming, you know what I'm saying? But like, it was like these two cats was just so big, you know what I'm saying? And then so it's like to have all of that, like, come on you and have that responsibility to keep this shit fly and keep the art of it going.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I think Hove really kept the, Hove kept the art of it going and was able to take where they was at.
Jay-Z, I heard that no one really wanted to sign him when you was shopping him around the record labels. Is that true?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This was, I want to say, I don't know, 90, 91 maybe.
Big Daddy Kane just cracked hip-hop history wide open. In one breath, he says Jay-Z borrowed his shine, sidestepped Tupac, and built an empire on quiet betrayals no one dared mention until now. If Kane's right, everything you thought you knew about Jay's rise was edited for your consumption. So how deep does the rabbit hole go? Keep listening, because the receipts stretch from Brooklyn block parties to a secret diss track so vicious Jay only performed it once, after Tupac was gone. Picture a smoky club in '91. Big Daddy Kane steps out to change outfits, and a lanky kid named Shawn Carter strides into the spotlight. No deal, no album, no hype, just lightning quick bars slicing through the beat while Kane's crowd loses its mind. Kane believed in that kid so much he shopped a 5-song demo to every label in Manhattan. Every exec shrugged. Nice flow, no market. They passed one after another while Kane kept pushing, betting his own reputation on a rookie no one wanted. Backstage, Jay studied Kane like a blueprint. Breath control, crowd work, that smooth yet aggressive cadence. Night after night he soaked it in, sharpening a delivery that would later sell out stadiums. But when the spotlight flipped directions, the mentor vanished from the narrative. Interviews skipped him. Documentaries skimmed past. In Jay's memoir, Decoded, Kane gets a polite footnote, nothing more. Kane says he never asked for a throne, just acknowledgement. Instead, he watched his trademark swagger, those rapid punches, that velvet glide, migrate into Jay's arsenal while his own name faded from hip-hop memory. Was it accidental oversight, or a calculated first move in a much bigger game? Because the silence that followed speaks louder than any shout, and what came next was even colder. As Jay's stock exploded, a curious amnesia settled over the scene. Magazine profiles traced his origin story from Marcy Projects to Madison Square Garden, but the man who once handed him the mic kept slipping off the page. Kane's influence was reduced to a single line in Decoded, a quick thanks, big bro, before the chapter turned. On radio freestyles and panel interviews, Jay rattled off inspirations: Biggie, Jazzo, even slick-talking hustlers from the block, but rarely Big Daddy Kane. Then came the eyebrow line. 3 cuts in your eyebrow trying to wild out. Jay lets it fly on Do It Again, cool as dry ice. To the casual fan, it's wordplay. To anyone who lived through late 80s rap, it's a direct fingerprint. Kane's signature 3 slashes shaved into his brow. Hot 97 phones lit up. Angie Martinez joked it sounded like a sneak diss. Kane laughed it off, but the sting was obvious. The protege had turned a mentor's calling card into a punchline. From that moment, the silence felt less like oversight and more like strategy. Jay was rewriting his own origin myth, trimming any branches that didn't serve the legend. And every time Kane tried to speak on it, the industry shrugged. Old school bitterness. But 2,700 miles away, another artist was already bracing bracing for the same brand of revisionist history, and he planned to call it out loud. While Kane was holding doors open in the East, Tupac was on the West Coast kicking them off the hinges, and he could already smell industry politics. In interviews and on wax, he blasted fake players, warning that glossy hustler personas were replacing rappers with real substance. One name that crept onto Tupac's radar, Jay-Z. The tipping point came in mid-1996. Word got back to Tupac that a rising Brooklyn duo, Biggie and the fast-talking kid Kane used to bring on stage, were throwing sly jabs his way. Tupac didn't wait for confirmation. He loaded up the mic. On Bomb First, My Second Reply, he spits, "Jay-Z die too. Looking out for Mobb Deep." The line was nuclear. Tupac lumped Jay in with every East Coast rival he planned to mow down. Backstage stories say Tupac's crew even confronted him at Summer Jam, hyping rumors that Lauryn Hill had dissed him. Anything to keep the West Via's East Blaze roaring. Kane now says those moments proved Tupac could read the room faster than anyone. He saw a new wave of rappers chasing image and power, and he called them out before the marketing machine finished rewriting history. And according to Kane, Jay heard every word, then started plotting his counter move in total silence. Spring 1996, D&D Studios, Manhattan. Jay-Z lines up a dream feature for his debut album, the notorious B.I.G. The track, Brooklyn's Finest, is pure borough pride, but Irv Gotti feels the cross-coast fuse already burning. He urges Jay to shelve it. Big is too strong. Before we take over the world, we've got to take over the West Coast, and he owns all that. Jay ignores him and presses record. The finished cut is gleeful, lethal, and reckless. Mid-verse, Biggie smirks. If Faye had twins, she'd probably have Tupac's. A double entendre that hits like a sniper round. Tupac's name, Tupac's wife, rumor, Tupac's pride, all clipped in 5 words. Within days, tapes reached the West Coast. Tupac, already furious over the Quad Studio shooting, and Biggie's Who Shot Ya. Here's Jay standing shoulder to shoulder with his rival, laughing at the punchline. That's all it takes. Tupac loads Bomb First, spits Jay's name in the opening salvo, and vows to bury every Brooklyn player who thinks he's untouchable. Back in New York, Irv Gotti's nightmare unfolds exactly as predicted. East-West tensions detonate, and Jay finds himself drafted into a war he never formally declared. But instead of firing back on wax, he retreats into silence, plotting a response so venomous he refuses to release it, at least while Tupac is still breathing. When Tupac name-checked Jay, Hove quietly loaded a missile titled Scathing. Recorded in late '96 over Blackstreet's No Diggity instrumental, the track was, according to DJ Clark Kent, one of the hardest diss records I've ever heard. Jay shelved the studio version out of respect after Tupac's murder, but the chip on his shoulder was too heavy to stay silent. One night at Harlem's Apollo Theater, before a packed house of 2,000, he unleashed the song live, every bar dripping with venom that had crowds gasping. Yet the performance raised eyebrows. Why torch a ghost you'd refuse to face while he was alive? Rumors swirled that Jay had felt relieved when Tupac died. Diddy's former bodyguard Gene Deal later claimed Jay once hid in a Las Vegas hotel room, refusing to perform because Tupac's crew was in town, until Suge Knight granted a last-minute pass. Whether or not that story is gospel, the optics were brutal. Jay stayed silent while Tupac breathed, then dropped a napalm verse once the West Coast giant was gone. To Kane, it proved a pattern. Strike only when the throne is vacant, then rewrite the narrative. When Tupac fell in '96 and Biggie the very next spring, hip-hop's throne sat smoking and empty. Into that void strode 2 men, Shawn Puff Daddy Combs, who controlled the airwaves, and Jay-Z, now free of the shadows of giants. On a 2022 Twitter Spaces memorial for Biggie's 50th birthday, Diddy looked straight at Hove, well, his avatar, and said, "Bro, you filled them shoes. You came in when the only 2 people who had the game on lock were gone." With Puff's public blessing, Jay dropped Volume 2, Hard Knock Life, and turned a regional buzz into a global takeover. Rockefeller tours, Cristal in every club, a new hustler mogul archetype the industry hadn't seen. Deals multiplied, Rockaware, Def Jam presidency, Live Nation's $150 million partnership. Every step looked like destiny, but Kane, and now plenty of peers, call it precision opportunism. Step in when mentors and rivals are silenced, then rewrite the narrative while the crowd's still grieving. Fast forward to 2024 to 2025. Diddy's empire implodes after a federal Mann Act conviction. Sentencing looms, bail denied. Reporters ask where Jay stands on his old booster. Jay's attorney, Alex Spiro, flatly replies, "There is no friendship or long-time bond here. The same mogul who once rode Puff's cosign now treats him like a distant acquaintance. Another burnt bridge in the rear view." To Kane, it's the final proof. Jay-Z's genius isn't just lyrical, it's surgical. Remove obstacles, collect crowns, and when allies become liabilities, ghost them before the headlines hit. The mic circles back to Big Daddy Kane in June 2025, and he finally names the pattern out loud. "I never asked Jay for a favor, just a mention, but every time my name should have been there, it vanished." In a string of viral clips, Kane lays the charge plain. Jay didn't just out-hustle rivals, he waited for mentors and legends to be sidelined, then rewrote the scorecard as if they never mattered. Kane links his own erasure to Tupac's warnings about fake players. Tupac sensed the shift from storytelling MCs to image-first moguls, and Kane now says Jay embodied that pivot the moment Tupac's voice was silenced. He points to Decoded, where a single footnote replaces years years of mentorship, and to Eyebrowgate, the sly 3 cuts line, as proof Hove was pruning history while the public wasn't looking. The interview sets off a flash fire on hip-hop socials. Number credit Kane trends, old tour footage resurfaces, and younger fans realize the hype man they'd heard about was actually the architect of Jay's early style. Industry vets chime in, echoing Tupac's old refrain that loyalty gets lost when the accountants take over. Kane's final word hits hardest. Jay's genius was never just rap, it was knowing exactly when to stay silent, when to strike, and when to disappear from the scene of the crime. With the mentor-turned-mogul now distancing himself from every fallen ally, from Tupac to Diddy, the through line is impossible to ignore. Ambition, precision, amnesia. So here we are, one mentor sidelined, 2 rivals buried, and a billionaire standing on top of the rubble. Big Daddy Kane calls it betrayal. Tupac warned it was coming. Diddy crowned it, then watched the crown turn into a target. Maybe Jay-Z just mastered the cold math of survival. Erase the parts of the story that don't serve the empire and keep climbing. Or maybe there's a moral line, one he crossed the minute he turned gratitude into a footnote. I want to hear from you. Is Hove the ultimate strategist who played a ruthless game to perfection, or a silent thief who pocketed other men's legacies while the world applauded? Does greatness excuse the ghosts it leaves behind? Drop your verdict below. Hit subscribe if you're hungry for the hidden chapters of hip-hop history, and keep those notifications on, because the next bombshell is already ticking.